I'll say there are a lot of things in the works now so that we will have better career guidance.
It has been a deeply motivating experience for me. Just the opportunity to meet some of the original Tuskegee Airmen, to be able to rub shoulders, if you will, with these folks who are responsible for me being where I am today. They are responsible for me being able to be what I am today. And I can only look back and think about how much I have to be thankful for.
Meaningful equality remains a distant dream. It is more than a little ironic that after several hundred years of class-based discrimination against Negroes, the court is unwilling to hold that a class-based remedy for that discrimination is permissible. In declining to so hold, today's judgment ignores the fact for several hundred years Negroes have been discriminated against, not as individuals, but rather solely because of the color of their skins. It is unnecessary in 20th century America to have been victims of racial discrimination. The racism of our society has been so pervasive that none, regardless of wealth or position, have managed to escape its impact. The experience of Negroes in America is not merely the history of slavery alone, but also that a whole people were marked as inferior by the law, and that mark has endured. The dream of America as a great melting pot has not been realized for the Negro. Because of his skin color, he has never made it into the pot.
The Western Region, Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated, congratulates and honors those who made it possible, and this has to do with first, it is engraved to, in this case, Colonel George Spanky Roberts Sr., first black cadet, pilot, in parentheses, Army Air Corps, 1941, and the other first also on this award is to Lieutenant Teresa M. Claiborne, first black woman pilot, United States Air Force, 1982. It is beautifully engraved with the Tuskegee Airmen emblem and a picture of these firsts.
Thank you very much. This is beautiful. And I remember this occasion. I wasn't there, but he came home walking on air. He was so proud of this young lady. Thank you very much.
Now, he's a wonderful man, George Burns. He's my model. He's 88 years old. He just signed for 5 years at the Sahara in Vegas. 5 years with options. I gotta tell you about him because he's some man. On his 88th birthday, they sent a girl up to his room to entertain him, and she said, "What do you want me to do?" He said, "Fill the tub." And she filled the tub, and George got in and said, "What do you want me to do now?" I said, "Make some waves." She made some waves. She said, "What do you want me to do now?" I said, "Make a little thunder." And she went boom, boom, boom. She said, "What do you want me to do now?" I said, "Make a little lightning." And she turned the light switch on and off. I said, "What do you want me to do now?" I said, "Make some more waves." She said, "Don't you want to make love?" He said, "What, in a storm like this?" I know you're having a great time, and it's a kick to come and see you. Tonight at the Paramount, they're having a military night, and I understand a lot of the Navy's going to be there, and I'm kind of happy to see them too, because I've entertained them over the years. And in fact, I come from a Navy family. My uncle was the first officer on the Titanic. He was also first officer off the Titanic. But that didn't come out till the trial. You have a good time, and thank you. Good to see you.
One is that I want our youth, black, white, polka dot, or whatever, but particularly those that feel that they don't have a chance, to give everything they can, that is, to set a goal and do everything they can to make something out of themselves. Be somebody. Be somebody. That's all.
To try to interest youth in fields of aviation, and everybody can't be a pilot. But there are all kind of positions, engineering, management, throughout aviation that are available to kids today. And we just hope that we can get some of them interested.
It's obviously quite an honor to follow in my father's footsteps. Tuskegee experience has been well documented. This is just a continuation of the legacy of the history and the accomplishments of black pilots in the United States Air Force. It's just a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be associated with this organization.
I think the most inspirational is to try to get young people involved into the Air Force, because the Air Force is a great way to go, and it's a whole different ball game, and that's why I went into the Air Force rather than into the infantry or engineers or something else.
While I enjoyed my Tuskegee experience, there were enough negatives involved that I tried to put it behind, although I understand that there are accomplishments that I've made since that I undoubtedly would not have made had it not been for the discipline that I learned there, for the backbone that I managed to obtain, some of the lessons I learned on just how to be a better person.
Well, I think we set an example for the day's youth. You may look around all over the country and see these examples, such as Coleman Young, Mayor of Detroit, Percy Sutton, a successful entrepreneur in New York City. One of my classmates, Lieutenant Governor George Brown, was the first black lieutenant governor in the United States.
I said, start with a basic education. Make a determination to learn everything. I don't want anything around me I don't know something about.
If it hadn't been for Tuskegee, I would have been maybe just another fellow, not having that opportunity, not having the confidence, and would have just gone off into oblivion as because just has lived and died, not had that chance.
It's always a great opportunity to get together and see all these nice fellas. Enjoy being with them.
Our whole life was involved with flying. The names of the members of the group were spoken in our house practically every day. There was always something funny that he said about some member of the group. We had a high grade of deal of respect for men like Weldon Groves and Span Watson and Lee Archer and whatnot. So these were people that I knew.
Well, normally on the whole, I was pretty lucky. I think I brought back a bullet or so from strafing, and I left a tie on the runway once when I was taking off of the P-47. But on the whole, all of my missions I returned from all of them with no scratches.
After we got overseas, I put in my missions. I came back home because my wife was pregnant when we left from the States to go overseas. She became pregnant, and she had the child in September. In December, I applied to come back. In November, I applied to come back to the States because I put in my missions. And when I came back, going down to my new post in Alabama with one of the other officers, we met with an accident, and I got a fractured skull and lost sight of my left eye. As a result, I was laid up in the hospital for several months, and when I came out of the hospital, they told me I wouldn't be able to fly anymore, and if I wanted to meet the retirement board, I could, inasmuch as my commanding officer, when I left from overseas, told me that I would be entitled to become part of the regular Army if I wanted to, because they liked the way I flew, I guess.
We went on several gunnery missions, low-level flying, in training. This was. It was a wonderful experience, and I enjoyed every moment of it. I was in all phases of it, piloting, bombardiering, navigation. And it was, well, to me, just a wonderful experience.
He was in the 99th Pursuit Squadron, and he was a pilot, and he was shot down over Germany, and he was a prisoner of war for a short time, and then he was released and came home and went into law school and graduated at the time of his passing, he was a practicing attorney and also the director of the Early Child Care Development in St. Louis.
I look back, and at the time we were going through Tuskegee, we were just a bunch of youngsters who had a lot of ambition, but our futures were a bit cloudy because of the segregation policies of the United States at the time and the military at the time. We didn't know just how the war was going to affect our futures, but we were hoping.
Well, we had quite a lot of experiences, some good and some bad. And overall, though, I would say that it was a wonderful experience. We enjoyed it, even with its trials and tribulations. And I think it's a good thing for youngsters to be involved in.
When you're with a group of people as great as the Tuskegee Airmen, it's hard to achieve anything but super relationship, generally speaking. The experiences that we had were so great, and it's such a heartwarming experience to interact with the youth who are coming along today and find that, hell, they're just as good as we were, they think.
And we all grouped together at Chanute Field, Illinois, and we were the first ground crew to learn how to service airplanes. And I was the first black aircraft electrician in the 99th Pursuit Squadron.
When the Air Corps saw fit to form a bomber group, well, they drew from some of those that were already trained as fighter pilots to form the nucleus of the group. They went up in Michigan for training. At the same time, they had to train other members of bomber crews, navigators, bombardiers, gunners, radio men, engineers, etc. I happen to fall in that category, being a navigator bombardier.
In a segregated outfit in World War II, we didn't know how good of pilots we were. But once we flew with the total group, then we know we were good.
My war service served me to good stead because after the war, I was able to do something that I always dreamed of. That was to work with and around airplanes. I became an air traffic controller.
This convention is an annual affair, and it gives the former members of the Black Air Force of World War II a chance to get together and tell what they've been doing. We already know what they've done, but currently we're sponsoring 30 scholarships for young people to go into aviation or aerospace. And during this convention, we make that selection.
And so I only made first lieutenant, but I was proud that I was able to survive the ordeal and make it back, and I'm here to talk to you today.
I think that the government did us a favor by training these men. They are magnificent.
I guess it was about the only thing I really wanted to do. It was extremely important. A great deal of pride went along with the accomplishment, I'll be honest with you, because it wasn't really that easy. But it was probably, I guess, one of the greatest things that, or the thing that I have most pride in my accomplishments in my life.
I think it's a wonderful, it's the most outstanding convention so far, and I think that our intent was to make it the best convention that's ever existed of the previous 12.
I believe one of our top priorities should be to reshape our social programs, both the private and the public sector, such that these programs do not foster an individual to merely exist